everyone, and welcome to the Let's Talk Wrestling podcast reviews Lucha Underground. This week we are talking about Season 2, Episode 22, named Fame and Fortune. My name is Turbo Tony. I am the host of this Lucha review every single week here on the Let's Talk Wrestling podcast. Without further ado, let's get those plugs out of the way so we can talk about this week's episode. Of course, if you'd like to interact with us, the main way of doing so is our Facebook page, facebook.com/Let's Talk Wrestling Podcast. You can also tweet us at the Twitter handle @TalkWrestlePod. You can also send us any audio questions or private emails to letstalkwrestlingpodcast@gmail.com. All of that great information is in the description and on the graphics in front of you. All good stuff for you there. All right then, without further ado, let's get straight into this week's episode of Lucha Underground. Last week was that very lengthy single match. I wasn't a big fan of it. However, this week went back to Lucha Underground's more regular format. 3 matches with some scenes that couple around it. So it's much more of a regular episode of Lucha Underground, and I do believe it was a little bit better off for it. Dario Cueto starts off the show. He's in his office. He's speaking to one of the, what he calls, best up-and-coming luchadors in the world. A new talent. He's wearing a Jaguar mask, which looks quite badass. I'm sure he could, by what he was wearing, it looked like he could give Drago a run for his money in terms of attire at the very least. He tells him that, good for you that you're going to be making your debut at Ultima Lucha 2, and it's going to be in the Give to the Gods match. And he gives him a medallion, just straight up. Gives him a medallion, so he's going to be in that. That's where he's going to be making his debut. I don't know anything about the guy that's actually playing this role, but it'd be interesting to see new talent come in every now and then. One thing that Dario does add in here, however, is that he does explain, you do know how the Jaguar tribe was, the reason why they were the first to be destroyed years ago. It was because they were victims of their own arrogance. So a little bit of a foreshadowing, a little bit of a warning possibly to this guy. We don't even know his name, or if we did, I didn't catch it. So it'd be interesting to see what that comes up there. The first match of the night, Daga versus Mascarita Sagrada. Famous B doing the introductions, alongside, of course, the beautiful Brenda. Cobra Moon is in the crowd as well, thrusting her vagina in the direction of Daga. She definitely looks like she wants a piece of this guy, and she ain't being shy about it. She might as well have on her tights 2 arrows pointing into the direction of her lady garden. She wants Daga in a way that he might enjoy. I don't know, maybe, but still. I imagine in this relationship is a fine line between fighting each other and fucking each other. So we'll see how that goes down the line, of course. Not a long match at all, as you'd expect. Most of Mascarita Sagrada's matches haven't lasted too long. His association with Famous B hasn't exactly kicked off well for the guy. Talking of kicking off, Famous B, after the match, decides, I'm going to kick your fucking head off anyway. So, yeah, not too happy with his client. Brenda wasn't a big fan of Famous B kicking Sagrada right in the face. Daga was obviously picking up the victory and getting out of dodge with his ancient Aztec medallion. But what lasted, it was all right. The match, it was a little bit of fun, but it was what you expect. He tells the crowd anyway, Famous B, after laying out Sagrada, that he's going to find a new client and he will be famous. So a little bit of an interesting turn here for B. His reputation is damaged, and for this guy, his reputation's really all he's got, so he can't be having that. It'd be interesting to see what they go for from here. But it was quite a kick from Famous B here. He's got a few moves himself, so it'd be interesting to see where they go from there. Dario speaks to Dragon Azteca Jr. in his office. He's trying to explain, of course, he's trying to spin the tale that Matanza didn't kill the original Dragon Azteca. No, it wasn't that. He says that he isn't a liar. He's a giver of opportunities. That's what his role is. Of course, we know he's lying. Dario says that Lotus wants to take Dragon Azteca out, but it's an opportunity for him to take vengeance at Ultima Lucha. And you can just tell that Dario's just pulling the strings here, putting these guys against each other. All the while, we all know the truth. We saw it with our own eyes. We know what happened. I think people know by now. Even the characters know by now. Dario's he's full of shit. But here he's managing to spin this tale, and it's working out for him. Mr. Cisco, Cortez Castro, Joey Ryan versus Killshot, Sinestro de la Muerte, and Marty the Moth. All these matches, by the way, were for Ancient Aztec medallions. They're basically rushing through this so they can have a Gift of the Gods match at Ultima Lucha. Obviously, a lot of underlying tones here in this match. You've got the undercover operation, remember? They told Mr. Cisco he's got to wear a wire, so now he's working with the feds as much as he dislikes that. And then you've got the rivalry between Killshot and Marty the Moth. Sinestro de la Muerte is just kind of there, right? He hasn't. In fact, I'm a little bit disappointed in Sinestro de la Muerte. He had a pretty cool origin story where he basically destroyed his two teammates to, be the last disciple of death standing. But he hasn't really done that much after then. I don't know if they've had not much of a story for him, but we've rarely seen him at all. So a little bit of a shame there. Maybe it's a byproduct of Katrina and her, stuff with Mil Muertes, that's more important, and they don't want to bring her back on just for Sinestro's sake. So we'll see how things go from there. So Marty, at the start of this match, he wants an Ancient Aztec medallion, so he's like, I'll give you your dog tags back to Killshot, a peace offering, so they can work together and win a medallion each. There was a strange moment here where, right at the beginning of the match, Joey Ryan, he's got the lollipop in his mouth, as he loves rubbing it down his chest hair, typical sleazeball. Marty the Moth, he grabs the lollipop and decides, that tastes quite nice. I'm going to shove that in my gob as well. And, of course, they trade putting it back in between each other's mouths for a little while, which is brave because both men look like they are the walking epitome of a transmittable disease. So that, I'm sure that they shared more than saliva, shall we say. That just makes me feel dirty already, even just saying that. But still, there was like a collective shudder across the crowd in attendance, and I shared that. Good match. Mr. Cisco and Killshot, I thought, did quite a bit of impressing here. Cisco's one of those guys that he doesn't look like he's much, but when he gets going, he's like a little steam train. He puts forward a couple of moves, and then he's looking like $1 million in there. Joey Ryan steals a kick from Cisco. Cisco and Cortez Castro were trying to team up for a double team move, but Joey Ryan got in there first. And this kind of clash of communication is what costs Cisco, Castro, and Ryan, as Cisco's the one who gets pinned after the distraction, with Marty and Killshot working very well in tandem. Despite Marty and Killshot working like a team that have been wrestling together for a couple of months, as soon as the match is over, Marty just steals back his dog tags and fucks it out of there. So yeah, I tell you what, for a guy who has such a connection to these dog tags, Killshot allows them to get stolen quite often. So there is that. And you know what I'm happy about this though is that some people may remember what I said about this is that Marty the Moth and Killshot having a singles match at Ultima Lucha isn't something that I was too interested in, but they are going to be involved instead in the Gift of the Gods match. That's a better place for them, in my opinion, because they could still run out their rivalry, they could still wrestle each other, but it's in the confines of a match that's a little bit bigger than what is just a singles match between them in a very rushed together rivalry, right? So yeah, I think that's fine. I've got no problem with that, and good stuff there. And we'll see what the aftermath is for the undercover crew, which is we'll see how that goes. I'm still thinking that Cisco is going to end up with a tragedy on his hands here, but still. So the main event of the night, Sexy Star and Mariposa versus Ivelisse and Taya. So rest assured, if you have a rival in Lucha Underground, Dario Cueto will at some point do his very best to force you to team up with each other with his unique opportunities. I can't, it's even in the Trios tournament they did this. They just shoved guys together that didn't, that were in rivalries with each other and see how they worked. So, this is another good match. Not a great match, but a good match. Obviously, commentary were bigging up the women here, as they should. I think they did quite well. And it's quite cool to see, for a very least a small while, Sexy Star and Ivelisse facing off together. I mean, that's the highest profile women's match that Lucha Underground has to offer. That's the biggest female match that they have on available to them. I know that's not what they're going for, but still, it's interesting to see these two girls face off. A mix-up between Taya and Ivelisse costs them the match, even though there was kind of some good parts out here where the brawl went outside. He had Taya getting thrown into the crowd, Ivelisse diving off the top. They're certainly putting their bodies on the line, which is something that even when these when these women on Lucha Underground, even if they don't pull off a good match, it comes across as, at very least, you've got to appreciate their desire to put their body on the line to have that good match. Not a lot of women are, willing to go with that extra risk to put on a good show. But it's a mix-up between Taya and Ivelisse that costs them the match. Sexy Star and Mariposa walk out with the medallions, the final medallions, while we're looking as if they might want to kill each other. All the teams here weren't exactly working in accordance to each other. They weren't exactly happy that they were, having to fight together for what is a very valuable end game here. But it's good. I like the fact that in Lucha Underground, when they've got these stories and these histories with these characters, they aren't just brushed aside. They're remembered and they react. And, one of the things, the hets about wrestling is that sometimes they expect their fan base to have a very short memory. And wrestling fans nowadays just don't. They remember 5 years ago when these two guys said that they would kill each other, and now they're, as a team. At very least, when you've got these people working as a team, they don't like each other and they don't even try to get on the same page. They're just almost like two individuals forced to work with each other. So it's good on that sense, because I think the character development and the characters in Lucha Underground, while they're bizarre, over the top, wacky, crazy, whatever you want to call them, they do have their own histories. They've got some depth to them, and that's something that fans like myself enjoy. I'm sure that not all fans look at that as something that they're hugely into, but regardless, still something that I enjoy about the show just in general. So that's all the matches. At the end, we were promised that Prince Puma would come out and address the temple for his plans regarding Ultima Lucha. I remember last year he was involved in that title match, but there doesn't seem to be any match on the cards for Puma this year. He comes out and says that he wants the same match that everybody wants him to have. When Conan was training him, he was told that he could become the next Rey Mysterio. And of course, then the fans know where this is going. They start popping for it quite big. And he says, while he's been a champion alongside Mysterio, over time it's just started to creep in. What if I could be better than Rey Mysterio? And the only way I can know that is by facing Rey Mysterio. He challenges Mysterio at Ultima Lucha Dos, and the king of Lucha Libre comes out to respond. Mysterio says, look, I respect you, but at the end of the day, you are Prince. You are Prince Puma. I'm the king of Lucha Libre. So I need to know whether or not I'm still up to this, whether or not I'm still the best. So he accepts that match. That's a big marquee match right there. One that I'm sure that Ricochet, who plays Prince Puma, is very happy to have already wrestled. I know they've already wrestled it. And it's one that I'm very interested in. That's a big marquee match for the company. Two of its biggest stars right there. Puma, right from the beginning was one of their biggest stars. Matt Striker was bigging up how he's the face of Lucha Underground. Rey Mysterio, I don't even think I need to explain. He is a name known with pro wrestling for many, many, many years. And it's a match I'm very interested in seeing. And when you look at the card for Ultima Lucha Dos, it's starting to take shape now. And you've got Pentagon Matanza interested in that. Puma Mysterio interested in that. Gift of the Gods, always interesting to see who's going to be next for who might end up challenging the champion or walking around with that title. And then you've got Black Lotus versus Dragon Azteca. You've got Lotus, who hasn't wrestled at all in Season 2. And Dragon Azteca, who I think has done really well in his opening foray into the company. I think he's made a very good, solid impression, at very least on me. So that's some good stuff right there. So all in all then, my review for this show, a much better all-around show than last week. People know, you can go back and listen. I wasn't the biggest fan of last week. I think they dragged out a match to take up the entirety of this show rather than filling up the time. They felt like they were stretching it out, which is something that you just don't think of with Lucha Underground. Normally they're cramming all this action into a small space. This was more of the Lucha Underground that I enjoy. It's just back to regular format. Much better all-around show, a myriad of decent matches, some good build-up for the big season-ending Ultima Lucha episode, which I believe is actually 3 episodes. I looked up. I don't know whether they're airing 2 of them at the same time like they did last year, where they do an hour and then 2 hours. But, when that time comes, we can cover it there. On my scale, as we do here, for people that don't know, we only have a scale of 4 separate review scores, whatever. I don't know what we want to call it. But the bottom, of course, is just avoid it at the very least. Then we go skip it. Then it's catch it once and then watch it over and over and over again. This week is a watch it once. I think it's worth a watch easily. An hours of decent entertainment. And if you're into Lucha Underground, then you'll eat this up. It's good stuff. And it will get you pumped up for Ultima Lucha Dos. I think the placement of that final segment there with Prince Puma and Mysterio was very well placed to get you thinking about the future and thinking about Ultima Lucha and what kind of matches we can expect. And I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be a really good show. So that's me for this week, guys. That's my review for Lucha Underground. I hope you've had a great week. Again, we'll catch you again at the weekend. All that social media, great stuff to interact with us is in the comment section below, in the description, sorry. But you can comment on this video and leave us any questions. It more than likely will be answered on the weekend show. Apart from that, I hope you have a great week, and I'll catch you all next time. Thanks very much now, and bye-bye.